Okay, and we're live. Welcome everyone. Thank you guys all for joining us here today on this live stream. This is going to be a live stream that we're having with the Chainlink and the Multiplier communities, both of us together. I just want to give a shout out and welcome our two speakers, our two panelists today. Welcome to Yunnan, who is the CTO of Multiplier, and also Vinish, who is the head of risk at Multiplier. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Mike, for having us. It's great to be here.
No problem. Happy to have you guys here. So just to kick things off, perhaps could you guys give us a brief introduction about yourselves and what you guys are working on at Multiplier?
Sure. Perhaps I should start first. My name is Yunnan. I'm the CTO of Multiplier Finance. My expertise are mainly in the area of ITs, programming, and team management. Since year 2000, I've been actively involved in numerous aspects of software developments, such as software design, coding, test automation, infrastructure deployment, etc. I've also founded a software and game development firm in Singapore and Vietnam. And currently, we have over about 35 programmers, both in Singapore and overseas.
Okay, I'll introduce myself. Hello, I'm Vinish, head of risk for Multiplier Finance. At Multiplier, I look at things like financial risk, tokenomic design, liquidity, and listings. I also help the team with business development and building strategic partnerships in the space. I started my career in 2012 as an FX trader in an institutional buy-side firm where I was trading Asian NDFs. I discovered cryptos in 2017 and never really looked back. Prior to joining Multiplier in 2020, I was managing partner of X Delta Capital, which was a cross-border crypto arbitrage and market-making firm. So talk about what we're building at Multiplier. Currently, we're building a lending platform. We just launched MCL, Multi-Chain Lend, 2 weeks ago. So for those who have never really heard of us before, MCL is an Aave fork on the Binance Smart Chain with revenue sharing components. The protocol shares 70% of its revenues with lenders, which comprise of loan origination and flash loan fees. The remaining 20% of revenue goes to stakers and 10% to the reserves. MCL has been audited by CertiK, and currently we are undergoing our second audit by Kudelski Security. MCL's native token, BMXX, is also listed on PancakeSwaps, and we have liquidity mining programs available.
That's great. Thanks for sharing the overview there. And can you also talk a little bit about the experience that you guys had kind of shifting or building on Binance Smart Chain?
Yep, sure. I'm the main fella who works, exclusively with the team on BSC. So one of my responsibility at Multiplier is to ensure that all our developers are well equipped with the skill and knowledge to implement the protocols, especially smart contracts and features. So in 2020, the team has successfully developed the SSB, Simplified Stable Bond, and Taco Swap, AMM DEX, which is automatic market making. All these are done on the Ethereum ecosystem. So we have a pretty good idea of how to implement a solution on Ethereum using tool chains such as Truffle, Ganache, MetaMask, and just to name a few. Now on the BSC front, our development experience has been really enjoyable. The reason is since BSC work exactly like Ethereum, the tool chains support BSC directly. So everything has been easy for us to implement. We just port over our existing workflow from Ethereum and apply over on BSC, right? This process worked out very good for us. There's no surprises or any particular hurdle that we face in the whole process. And I believe this is one of the main reasons why BSC is getting a lot of adoption lately. And also not to forget that the gas fee in BSC is very user-friendly and affordable. This is one of the big reasons why we want to be in this fantastic blockchain.
That's great. And just curious, right? So obviously, you guys were working on Ethereum before this. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And does that mean that you're porting over exclusively to BSC, or are you guys still going to be supporting both chains simultaneously?
For
Yeah.
multi-chain length, we are looking at BSC exclusively due to the various reasons such as the gas fee, and it is pretty much a protocol that required to work on a lower gas fee in order to be efficient.
Hmm. I see.
So I mean,
Yeah.
we built out quite a vibrant community while we existed on Ethereum, and we're still there. So right now we've built a one-way token bridge, which bridges our users from ERC to BSC, and users will be migrating and have been migrating, and this will carry on till the end of 2021. So we do expect that eventually we'll exist on Binance Smart Chain.
Right. And will that be an exclusive thing on Binance Smart Chain? Are you exploring other areas, other chains as well later down the line?
Yeah. So currently we are exploring other chains. We have no definitive chain that we're looking at, given how quickly this space is moving. Every other let's say week or month, there's a new blockchain that's in the highlights. I think we really have to remain nimble at this point, and I guess identify the gaps, and pick a blockchain to build on when and where it makes the most sense. So I'd say the idea has crossed our minds. I guess the details have not really been finalized as yet.
Yeah, it makes sense. And kind of a general question here, and just wondering what your thoughts are, both of you, on kind of the approach that Multiplier has in the nascent DeFi space, right? So just want to hear your thoughts on what the vision is down the road, for 2021 and beyond. Like, how are you guys approaching DeFi in kind of in a high level?
Yep, sure. Personally, I felt that Finance 2.0 is going to revolutionize the whole blockchain, smart contract, and DeFi industry. So at Multiplier, we adopt a three-pronged approach, or three-pillar, if you will, right? So let me go over some of this philosophy that we have. So number one is we felt that security is the most important. So security is paramount. This is the first thing that we believe in. Secondly, we want to build something that is useful for the world to use, right? So the utilization is an important aspect of this second pillar, right? The third pillar is that we want to build a strong adoption and a strong community following, and we want to expand on it aggressively. So these are the three things that we want to, is our guiding light or pillar, if you will, that we follow. And let me just elaborate briefly on them. Right. So on the security front, right, my personal philosophy is that anything that can be exploited will eventually be exploited if there's a motivation to do so, right? So therefore, on the tech side, we are on a continuous mission, if you will, to get as many audits as possible from reputable auditors, right? We perform bug bounties, we hire additional full-time Solidity experts to scrutinize our code. Even after deployment, we look at the the smart contract to make sure the appropriate ownership and things like that are properly assigned, right? We use industry best practices such as multi-sig admin key, right? We use time lock validation and even things like pause function, just to ensure that after we deploy our protocols, these things run smoothly, and when things happen, there is a way to resolve the situation. So number one, this is very important for us. Okay, so whenever there is a contention between like delivery timeline and security, right, we always give a much higher priority to security, right? So let me just give you an example. In our recent MMX to BMX cross-chain converter that we deployed, right, there is a security time lock and a pause feature that we implement, right? So the purpose of this time lock is to perform extra validation and data validation to make sure that whatever that's been converted from the Ethereum to BSC side, the data, the amount, the address, everything is correct, right? So there are some users that feedback to us that the time lock is inconvenience to use. Basically, there's a time lock in between, and the user has to wait for it. But the team stayed true to our philosophy, and we felt that it's better to be careful than sorry. So in a way now we stand very strongly on our belief that security is paramount. Right? We wouldn't want to mess around with securities. So secondly, we want to build something that has a real world use case. Right? Our second pillar, build something that has a real world use case. So we believe that the value of a platform lies in the usefulness, such as the number of users and the number of transactions. So Aave has proven that a fair market lending protocol, such as Aave, has a good use case and is widely used. So moving on, right, I foresee that there'll be more and more blockchains mainnet uh, going into mass adoption. So for example, BSC, Cardano, Polkadot, just to name a few, right? So Multiplier has gotten ourselves a head start in BSC with our recent MCL launch. And I'm very excited because we are still in the very, very early stage of DeFi and Finance 2.0. Right, so that's our second pillar. We want to build something very useful. Our third pillar is that we want to build adoption and a strong community following. So we want to expand aggressively on adoptions. Since our MCL launch like 2 weeks ago, where we have been aggressively expanding our partnership and collaboration with different protocols, and we want to build adoption rate. And some of these collaboration announcement will be announced in due course when the time is appropriate. So moving forward, there will be a series of collaboration adoption, and all these have a very specific objective in mind. That is to build the adoption and the community following. So these are the three pillars that we believe strongly in. And the things that we do, right, we always fall back on our philosophy to make sure that we are doing things right. And these are our guiding light, if you will.
That's great. And when it comes to community, I'm curious to learn perhaps also about how does that fit into also the vision and your approach really to your governance and how Multiplier approaches governance. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. I guess since day one, the team at Multiplier have always been, ardent fans, if you will, of decentralization, the concept of community-run governance. However, over time, I think we've come to realize that reality often involves lots of trade-offs, right? Especially, early on in the lifespan of Multiplier, we didn't really have DeFi or seasoned DeFi users. Almost everyone was, very new to the idea of DeFi, new to the idea of community-led governance, decentralization, etc. As time passed, we've come to realize through observing our community and how other protocols have conducted their governance, that the road to decentralization, 100% community-owned protocol is a gradual process and requires education, strong support base from users who really care about your protocol and its future, and it requires a clear governance structure and roadmap. All right, so since launching multi-chain land a couple of weeks ago, we have firstly renounced our admin keys. We implemented 4.7 multi-sig, and we launched our governance module. We had a number of proposals since from community, which were genuine and cared, about our protocol growth. So suggestions like how we could increase our TVL or attract more users by giving incentives. However, the technical feasibility of these proposals, let's say the economic ramifications of these proposals or the risk that are posed by such implementations were not really pointed out or highlighted or focused on, right? So as a result, the team has been really working on building some structure and frameworks around community-led governance, deciding which portions of the protocol matter should be assigned for community governance now and which portions should be assigned for community governance later. And we think, this would largely depend on, the maturity of the protocol and its users, and of course, the team's ability to delegate governance effectively as well. So I think, we envision a future for Multiplier where, protocols are 100% community owned and run. And we remain committed to take the steps or the necessary steps to get there over time.
Absolutely. That's great to hear. And I guess if the community or those who want to learn more about how the governance works, where would be the best place to visit? Would that be within the app, within the website itself, multiplier.finance?
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit multiplier.finance. We have lots of documentation over there with links to media. You can even go into our app, go into the governance module, so you can find out more about how these things work and watch the participation of the communities in there.
That's great. Yeah. So we'll make sure to leave those links as well in the show description for those who are tuning in and watching. That's great. Thanks for sharing the governance approach there. And kind of, I want to turn our attention, of course, to how Chainlink and Multiplier have kind of been working together recently. Perhaps you could share a little bit about your experiences with kind of integrating Chainlink and also what it's been like so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we started MCL development in Q4 2020, right, we knew that reliable and robust and accurate price data is critical to our protocol. So for example, in our feature, liquidation feature, it depends heavily on the price oracle. So imagine if the price is not accurate or even delayed, right? Then the protocol will not function efficiently. So during the price oracle integration phase, right, we got in touch with Chainlink, and we hooked up with a series of video calls to discuss our need and timeline. What I can say is that support from Chainlink is amazing. We managed to get 7 pairs on BSC mainnet in just, I think, around 2 weeks time frame. And we are so amazed because we are rushing for a deadline release, and the Chainlink support has been marvelous. The smart contract integration with Solidity is, I would say, very simple and well documented because it just follows the way that Ethereum smart contract works exactly on the BSC. So everything works fine, and the moment we press a button and deploy, it just works. So this is one of the things that we are most proud of. The integration has been record-breaking time. It's so fast and it's easy to use. So looking at the various solutions available out there for price oracle, and we did extensive research on what's available, I think Chainlink is probably the most straightforward and easy to integrate price oracle. Right? When it comes to robustness, and accuracy, definitely we need to go for Chainlink.
That's amazing. Thank you for the kind words. I think the team here absolutely loves working with projects such as yourselves who are really determined to make an impact and really build some amazing products in the DeFi space. So thank you as well for all the support. So I'd like to also kind of absolutely. It's great. I'd also like to learn a little bit more about your about the multiplier community, right? So I think you already alluded to that with kind of how the focus on governance is very much plays a big part in how you want to evolve and kind of build in the months and years to come. Could you also talk a little bit about what is the composition of your community? Who is the typical type of multiplier user that you see right now, and who would you like to kind of cater to in the months or years leading ahead, and kind of the evolution of the product? So who are the core users, the strong community that you're slowly building, and maybe where are they from?
Yeah. I mean, I think firstly, I have to say that, we'd be nowhere without our community and their support. They've seen us grow over the last few months, from a market cap of below 1 million to where we are now. Of course, this has come with a fair share of ups and downs, given the crypto market volatility. During this process, during this time, our greatest doubters have grown into the biggest believers. They've served as a pillar of support and source of information and education to new members who are joining us. Personally, I've never really been involved in a project before that's managed communities before. I'd say it's really exciting to see, how communities mature and grow over time. The multiplier community is very diverse. It includes crypto veterans, people who have been around since 2012, 2013, 2014. And it also, has a lot of newbies, right? People who have just joined crypto and crypto investing. They come from all parts of the world. Primarily, I have to say that our community is very savvy, especially when it comes to investing and trading. I guess a lot of them are traders and investors at heart. They kind of help each other when it comes to questions surrounding technology, tokenomics, and learn in the process. I would say, from a perspective of who we'd like to reach out to, I think MCL or multi-chain led being a fair money market protocol, it's really built for optimized lending and borrowing, right? So it really love to invite traders who could potentially use our platform and the fair rates to complement their trading strategies and enhance their yield. I think overall, our community has been great. I think special thanks to our community leaders as well, who have really helped us grow this community from scratch. We hope that, especially as we enter our growth phase and work towards attracting more users, we hope that community will continue to stay supportive, as we scale MCL to greater heights.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. I'm just going to check out the live chat right now and see if there's any questions. We do have one that is about the Trust Wallet support, and if that's coming anytime soon, or any thoughts on that.
Yeah, let me just handle that. So our dev team has actually implemented, the support for Trust Wallet. I believe it's via Wallet Connect, and our QA is actually testing the feature. So if everything is running smoothly, I do foresee that we'll make that feature available pretty soon. So I believe this is one of the feedback that we gotten from our community as well.
Cool. Okay. And kind of just closing things off here, I just want to ask one final question, really, and this is something that I'm sure the community, they're tuned into this and they would like to hear a little bit more. But is there anything you could possibly share in terms of what's really next on the product roadmap for Multiplier, and what could they possibly expect for the next few months in 2021?
Sure. So I think we are very clear. The team is very clear on what the priorities. So since our MCL mainnet launch on the 26th of Feb, right, the team has been focused the majority of our resources into driving adoption and partnership. So I foresee that this will remain the primary focus for the short term. We're just going to focus on adoption and partnership for the business side. Now for the development side, right, the team will continue to enhance the MCL protocols with various wallet support. I believe there's a question earlier on about wallet support. So Trust Wallet is been one of those that we're going to support. So we are exploring more collateral type support, different type of collaterals, and there will be an improved governance structure that's coming up pretty soon. So we are working on a structure or a guideline, if you will, so that the governance process is more organized, more structured, and there's a framework to follow for the governance module. As the DeFi space is rapidly evolving, right? I think we like to keep the roadmap simple and give ourselves some flexibility to explore new things should opportunities arise, because the space is moving so rapidly. Sometimes our plan need to be flexible so that we can grab the opportunities, and be able to to change course if that's good for the whole communities and the platform.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. So there's actually been a couple of more questions that came in while you were talking about that. So this one is about a question on kind of how does the team ensure the security of the Multiplier platform and kind of the vulnerabilities when it comes to kind of exploiting on flash loans?
Yeah. So as we know, the Aave protocols has gone through five formal audits, right? So MCL is a fork of Aave. We use the code in Aave Assist, except for the areas that we enhance. So for example, right, we enhance the revenue sharing in terms of the 70, 20, and 10. 70% of the platform fee in terms of origination fee and fractional fee goes to the LP providers. 20% goes to governance stakers, and 10% go to the reserve. So when we code the Solidity smart contract, we have a formal ways to specify the required behaviors. We have unit tests to ensure that all the functions are 100% code coverage, right? When we work with auditors such as Certic and Kudelski, we have very elaborate documents on the architectures, on the codes area, or the code surface that we touch. And we also tell them very specifically, like which are the files that they should focus their attention on, because there's more code change or implementation changes on that, right? So we are working very closely with our auditors almost on a daily basis to exchange information. And one things that we believe in is that we want to have ongoing auditing. We're just not comfortable with one audit and then we tell the market that no, we have one audit and that's all. We want to engage in multiple audits that is ongoing, and preferably from different auditors that have different areas of expertise and experience as well as exposure. So that way we can ensure that we have more eyes and more areas of expertise looking at all the smart contract codes. Now on the website deployment front, we also deployed AWS Shield Advanced, which is an enterprise-grade DDoS solution to ensure that when our smart contract is safe, but our front end and website is also under heavy protection. In the event of DDoS and things like that, we are able to operate without stoppage in our service. So those are some of the things that we took special attention to ensure that what can go wrong, we have all handled it before anything can happen in any unfortunate events.
That's great. Yeah, very comprehensive. Thanks for sharing that, Yunan. Some more questions are coming in here. So this one is about the tokens and kind of the thinking behind how burning works, token burn. So could you talk a little bit about that and kind of the max supply?
Yeah. So the maximum supply of the token currently stands at the 13 million. So this is the governance token of multi-chain LEN, BMXX. Currently, we have about 7.8% of that circulating. The token currently hasn't built in any burning features, but we are contemplating, incorporating some burning features, details which we can't really reveal in this video interview. So I'd say the token does not have any burn mechanisms inbuilt at the moment, but this is something that we are exploring in the future.
Yeah, totally understandable. Thank you for sharing what you could on that. So I think that pretty much wraps up all the questions for today. I just really want to thank both of you, Yunan and Vinish, for joining us here today. Thanks so much for joining us. And also I want to thank the communities from both Multiplier and Chainlink. Thank you all for being with us here today. Really appreciate it. Also want to give a shout out to my colleague, Mark, who has been tirelessly manning the YouTube live chat. Thank you so much, Mark. And for everyone else who's still watching, thank you so much for being here. Please do hit the like button here on YouTube, subscribe to our Chainlink channel if you haven't, and also hit that bell notification.